Mainland 98.3 FM. Don't touch the dial. 98.3 FM. Don't touch the dial.
Things seem anxious and uncertain. I understand the hardship you face. I wish there were other ways, but there is not. If there were,
in our quest to bring to the table issue-based conversation around nationhood and development, we have made 4 to 5:30 p.m. Monday to Friday the perfect time to welcome you into the Situation Room as we continue to build the narrative about public service and accountability.
Mr. President, this Senate needs to know. Mr. President, this Senate needs to lend its voice to the plight of these people. Mr. President, there is nowhere I can say it except here. This is why I'm elected. If I cannot say these things on this floor, sir, I better resign and leave.
As elections give the citizens the chance to make their political decisions, constant demand for quality leadership from those they voted into office.
Look at us now, there is nothing, we are starving. Tinubu should please do something.
It's also important to having a Nigeria of everyone's dream. Join Oᴜᴜᴜ Akínyode as it takes to task seasoned analysts, opinion makers, business professionals, and politicians on issues around politics, policies, governance, and leadership. Every Monday to Friday from 4 to 5:30 p.m. on your super dial. Mainland 98.3 FM will welcome you roommates as we discuss the situations.
Between October 2024 and January 2025, more than 265 lives have been lost to fuel tanker explosions in Nigeria. Guess what? Twice of that number have perished in the last 2 years. In more than half a decade, tragedy had feasted on many human bodies in many Nigerian states in their countless attempts to scoop fuel from overturned tankers. Ask yourself, is it worth the risk? The answer is a resounding no. Scooping fuel from an overturned petrol tanker is not just risky, it is downright suicidal. Petrol, diesel, kerosene, and gas are highly flammable when one spark and disaster strikes. Ignorance or hardship cannot justify putting your own life on the line to stay alive. Whenever you see an overturned tanker or people attempting to scoop fuel, flee immediately or alert the relevant authority otherwise. Remember, fuel scooping is deadly. Don't take the risk. Stay alive, be alive, and live well.
This message is from Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos.
Very good evening to you. Welcome to the Situation Room live on Mainland 98.3 FM. And I want to believe your day has been good so far. Today is Tuesday, and today is also the Children's Day. It's the 27th day of May 2025. And we're also building up to the second year anniversary of the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I remember we started this conversation almost about 2 weeks now. We've constantly reminded you of how this entire week is going to be dedicated to some format or the entire political structure in the last 2 years. And on Thursday, we'll have to take us through an appraisal of everything that had gone down in the last 2 years administration of the renewed hope mandate of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We touch areas of security, we touch areas of infrastructure, we touch area of education, sports, energy, science and technology, aviation, and the economy. And today we're going to focus mainly on the economy. To me, because I've always said it. Maybe after looking at Section 14 of the Nigerian Constitution, subsection 2, 1999, as amended, that clearly states that the primary responsibility of every government, your ideas around issues of, safety, nothing else should beat that. You can build the finest infrastructures, you can build the biggest hospitals, you can do everything you want to do, build the fund. Did not. I remember last week, Friday, I had he opened that conversation up a little bit, and you can look at Dr. Daniel Bwala and conversation conversation on Friday, and one of the things he raised was the fact that, first off, there is no way in this world that a lot of people would continue to ignore what is happening at the state levels right now in terms of huge amount doing that. But have you also asked your governors? I mean, there are governors that are getting 10 billion. So the question is this: what are they doing with this? But if your people don't feel safe, then you've actually lost aviation plus everything is still Bola Ahmed Tinubu's 2 years from Edo State. That's Comrade Senator Comrade Oshiomhole to manage the economy. I have a reservation about that, because if you say badly managed, it's from APC to APC. It's a transition on the same political party. There's nobody that is at the attachment to the last administration. You say it's a badly managed economy. I was reading some conversation around the coalition yesterday, and one of the things I found super interesting is why are they not leading this coalition? First off, Malam Nasir Rufai. Now let's come talk about Atiku Abubakar. Talk about Rotimi Amechi. Rotimi Amechi was a member of the River Sisters of Assembly, Muhammadu Buhari. So which of these guys have actually not? Until today, Rotimi Amechi had not officially announced that he's leaving the All Progressive Congress, right? So you look at the issues even within the political parties. But if you check his profile, which I'll certainly just give a little to you, then you understand that when it comes to issues of the economy, one of the guys that operates in the capital markets and also the CEO and MD of Capital Plus Limited are well traveled, although his university first degree masters, he's currently pursuing his PhD as well. So he's a thorough son of the soil, fed under this administration. We dig it deep. Mr. Dufo Olukoya is live in the studio with me, and for the next 1 hour thereabout, we'll drive this conversation about, and today, where exactly are we 2 years or almost 2 years down the line? In 2 days' time, it's going to be 2 years. How well have we performed in the area of our economy, the stability in terms of currency? Because when the announcement was made at the Eagle Square in Abuja on the 29th, CD is gone. And it literally just, official scarcity, they started locking up their stations, they started increasing the fuel pump price, and within 3 days, we got fix itself. Now, in some part of Lagos, you can buy fuel as low as, well, maybe not low as such, but compared to other states or where we were aligning with Dangote, or some of them are still importing. But we look at this from, a more deeper perspective. Are we on the right track? If we are recovering as an economy, what exactly are we recovering from? The floating of the naira alongside the announcement on the removal of subsidy should it have been done. He wrote a column about a year ago, and he said there would never be a perfect time to announce or to remove subsidy. It should remain. But so a lot of them said, even those that wrote the speech of Mr. President, they did not include the conversation of subsidy in that speech. But the president took everyone by surprise, made the announcement, and well, here we are today. The social status into power. Oh, you have to be in band A, band B. I find that pretty awkward, though. But then we'll try to find our way around some of these things. Mr. Dufo, good to have you join us on the show again. It's been a while. And I'm glad I was able to get you for a follow. I jotted down the last time you were here. Okay. I will make reference to some of those things. We'll compare notes where we were when you were here about a year ago, yes, and where the economy is right now. But more than anything else, it's Children's Day of the out of school children that we have, about almost 20 million as we speak. About 4 out of every 10 out of school child in the world is a Nigerian. And then if you look at the demographics, some of them dropped out of primary school, some of them junior secondary school, yes, some of them senior secondary school, yes, and it's been tough. So often when people celebrate Children's Day, I just sit back, I look at those kids. Fine, they have a day that they can say this is our own day, right? The day where they probably don't even wear uniform to school. They have a lot of the fate of a Nigerian child that will probably not have access to education, whether quality or basic, that will probably have to hawk and play the role of parents where he's supposed to still be a child, a little kid that millions of out-of-school children begging on the street of Kano, go to Zamfara, go to Ekiti, come to Lagos, go to Agege. So it's not even like, oh, it's another thing. Nigerian child, especially those that are not as privileged as the other ones. Let's start from there today.
Okay, then, thank you once again for having me. It's been quite a while, and we thank God for a better economy as we speak. It's Children's Day today, and my heart goes also to every Nigerian child, wherever they may be, because we also have children too. But you know that there's something called social status. And so status will always be different from each other. Thrive, right to education, right to basic standard of living, right to free will, and also be able to thrive as kids. And I will look at that most of the energy is being directed towards states. You mentioned it quite earlier, and more importantly to local. Look at children. It should not be a thing of, for the average child to thrive. How many kilometers to their school? What kind of level to ensure that every child, has a minimum standard of living. It's not about how cheap they are, but what kind of quality education, child health care, what kind of subsidies. That's the local government and the state government, not the federal government. If you permit me, I resonates around total removal of my came. I said that every presidential candidate, but for me, and to have staggered it at that time, but as at that time, on May 29, we know they felt that the president came up, bullied us into saying it has been removed. But the man only had present administration, or it was done from a genuine and responsible frame of mind. That's the Buhari administration. But on May 29, there was no more subsidy. So Mr. President went ahead to announce it. He also felt that there was too much to get FX at different rates. It's why some people got at that period in 2023 as high as 406. So Mr. President felt that we needed to harmonize the FX, the rates. Rate became a single rate. Another thing at that time was that we were not getting direct business, exim, and the likes. The reason is because there was a big disparity from the true reality of our Naira value. And we all knew at that time that I've been using 98% of total revenue to service debt. And yet you are a man or corporation that brought in FX. Into BDCs at that time will get to 60% per week, which was super high. It's not so, thank you. And so don't also forget that at that time, the level of borrowings was super high, super at all. And you cannot live in isolation. So we had a government, time, ways and means, 27 trillion to have an economy that was, the government at that time was painting President TINUBU'S. We had to take the bull by the horn. What I would have done a little bit better, use that word, state to do more, because immediately there was no state that was earning less than 50%. He went straight for it. Tell me how many presidents could take the bull by the horn. Since president loves the grassroots, he means that what he wanted was your local council. So up to today, let me million. In a month, there's none. The question will be, how well have they we can still roll out so many more of these policies? Sector, immediately, he knew that 58% of GDP is from the real sector.
Mr. Sheyi, let me hold your thoughts.
Okay then.
I know that if we continue to slide into thing is key, which is communication.
Okay then.
Policy communication from every government shows that those policies are made after thorough consultation with the people.
Yes.
That's why now you broke down the issue of the reason why the Naira needed to be floated at that point.
Yes.
Maybe the timing was questionable, especially when you bring in those two very important policies. Will have sent a better message to the people. First of all, even they had gone the Naira also, or the market. A lot of people didn't know that the bottleneck in the forex is killing. I have a younger sister, one of my twins. She buys stuffs from China. She has to stop the business.
That's the truth.
How far do you think a proper policy communication will have saved us from some of these misconceptions?
My brother, you need to admonish sometimes when we feel that they are not doing too well. I tell you that, and that's why I said that, what I would have done differently at that time, like I said, go back to National Assembly. for the next 6 months. That's from May 29 to probably December 2023. Communicate to Nigerians and tell them the journey that is ahead of us. Let them know that it's going to be a rough period. Let them know that we'll create subsidies, because the announcement came and those any distortion at all were from, because Nigeria is a mono economy. It's a mono economy. So our mainstay is oil, and there's no pronouncement on that oil. You know, it would disrupt every aspect of the economy. So what I would have done a little bit differently was to provide, you know, a lot,
the cost of delivery, everything.
Tell mother and child,
take care of them.
State, look at your rapid bus transport. You know, though Mr. President provided had to be, you know, a lot of work had to be done on them. People had to be trained.
Eventually picked up the campaign.
Thank you, thank you. So. On the aspect of communication, I want to agree with you 100% that probably but it was a road we had. Nigerians can know that we are almost out of the tunnel.
At the end of the tunnel. How will I see to get to where the light is? But that's just on a light catered to the people.
Yes.
Sometimes some of these policies have had to, you know, maybe face and all of that. What has good question on security?
Yes.
But I probably would not get the in my car and I'm listening to this conversation, or I'm streaming on all our. I mean, for alumni of the London Business School that you are, you have an idea 20 that you think are shaping this administration in the last. But which other economic policy?
I'll mention quite a few more intended to ensure that as we speak on a monthly basis. So if benefiting from the policies of Mr. passed into law. But the question is, how many states have the sector? Which means that, yes, that's the small and medium to increase, you know, spend.
True.
So you can imagine if when the administration came up, it was around 4,000, average 4,000. So
and the national grid was collapsing.
You know, the kind of infrastructure we have did not capture it. And interest infrastructure to what they bought.
So do you say the privatization
structure have they put in place since they took over? How many megawatts? Because most of us you produce, you just so what should use degrees centigrade? Meaning in the night, Lagos is on the coastal drive. So what of more turbine and bring in the likes of infrastructure? 2023 average of about 1.3 million barrels per day on the average. So it means that we are generating that's infrastructure for the bank match is 2 million.
2 million.
Good. So even the budget is 2 million. 300,000 to 400,000 barrels per day. It will give us close to 1 billion. My brother, total reserve, foreign reserve, was about $3.9 billion. You know, the presidency, as we speak today, go and check the records, it's about $40 billion. 40 billion. You know, net reserve, that's another discussion for another day. So if you remove all those deficits, we should have about 22. You cannot grow on real terms if you don't grow on paper first. Everything starts from planning. And so where is the Nigerian economy now? IMF have spoken. We are unstable. You know, from negative position, we are now unstable. What did World Bank tell us? They came and they told us that we need to continue in this direction. And that's the point I'm making. We need to continue with this. It's going to take a minimum of about 8 years. Though World Bank said about 10 years, but I'm saying 8 years because the life of an administration is a maximum of 8 years.
True.
So if we can run this for the next 8 years. And don't forget that we are talking about an economist too. That's Mr. And that's why those policies were not too difficult. And let's remind ourselves that he mentioned this practically and clearly while he was campaigning. He said it. These are the things he said he was going to do. Has he done them? The answer is a practical yes. And in moving forward towards the market, that's where I operate more. That's as we speak, ASI is about 109. Average returns was about 37. You get about 370,000. You know, as profit, you put in tons. So why do people, you know, have confidence to put that much in the capital market? Very well, it means also that your policies are working. Yes, as we speak. So that's why there's a lot of capital came in because of the renewed vigor, because of the renewed export, for instance. Yes, in 2023, there was food scarcity. In 2024, maybe mid-year, there was also scarcity because of the planting season of 2023. Because of insecurity, provided seedlings, provided more mechanism, opened the borders for food imports just to cover that gap. And, provide more food inflation. That's where you measure it. Food inflation has reduced drastically. In 2023, it was 40%. Okay, you can argue that, man has also...
For all of these reduction in inflation, increment, in deal on its own. We'll come to that next.
Okay, then.
But so, I'm wondering... on what I'm selling, I'm just keeping those business running with the little I'm making, because from the little I make, I'll buy petrol to power my small apartment, keep recycling the little that comes in. You've talked about these beautiful things. Are all of these things not having direct effect on the lives of those who are suffering? Nigerians are going through a whole lot, and the government keeps saying that tighten your belt. The journey is going to be rough, but the people on the other, and the reflection on the Nigerian people, why is it a problem to see the manifestation of all of these good things you have said on this show today on the life of the common man? Exactly. Why are these things not reflecting on the life of an average Nigerian, Mr. Sheyi?
Okay, so that's a beautiful one. And I want to quickly say also that I'm part of the masses too.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people will disagree.
I'm part of the masses, so I also feel the pain. But there's no pain, but like you just mentioned, that it is going to be a rough and tough journey. And the truth is that there's no way we can come back to mix. That's what we call equilibrium point. That is, the average is beginning to rise again. But like I said, there's no instance before we have food export planting cycle for you to have in, coming from the north as food items. We lose them. It perishes.
Because the road...
Every year. Road, those are part of the fiscal policies that takes time before it germinates. And, to feel the pulse and know, if we are going to be sincere with ourselves, food price is dropping. The economy is trying to take shape. Like I said, these policies will take time. Positive impact. It has to be 2026. It has to. 3 billion. You know what 3 billion can do? That 3 billion, the first question is, who they intervened in their lives? It didn't go anywhere. We knew that there was magnanimity, decided to pay it off. Like I mentioned earlier, revenue freed up for national spending. And sometimes in economics, you spend as 45% of revenue. So it means that from 98% to 68% in 2024, 2025 to 45%. 2026, probably another see that these policies will begin to translate to prosperity.
Mr. Sheyi, all of us are married fund.
Yes.
Was not exactly our response. And that is checking the books. Same party accountable. But President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, while he was the candidate of the party, said he was going to continue from where the former President Muhammadu Buhari stops.
True.
There's been it right up to that place.
Yes.
From the former secretary to the government of the federation, using some hundreds, the president decided to pay off this debt that was not accounted for.
Yes.
Shouldn't the president also pay off that debt, then come back home and knock on the doors of everyone involved in acquiring that debt in the first place that was not accounted for?
Beautiful.
Don't you think...
You hit the nail on the head, but we have to be sincere with ourselves. That's what you asked me to do.
Please.
To be sincere. And now, in approach, there has to be a lot of tact. There has to be a lot of maturity. There has to be a lot of... Both together, you have to be very, very careful. It's about 60% or more. That's the
Northwest alone gave him 39%.
Beautiful. That's what they gave to him. Mr. President,
political
it will. But to be very factual with Mr. President too, look at what he did with Emefiele, monetary side. And he was very powerful. And look at what...
CBN governor is a king.
I know. So look at the revelations. Look at the revelations. Look at what came out. 753 houses. At all the revelations. Let me tell you, so many of the revelations didn't come out to the public, but some of us were privy to the committee report. They killed this economy. That's the CBN governor that printed 27 trillion. Where was the approval from National Assembly? It was not there. 90 trillion. Bold enough. Governor that spent over 40, I think about 40 of those 50 naira alone. You understand? So if you look at it, Mr. President is matured in politics, is matured also in governance, is a man that has a lot of
I'm sure the people listening can peek between the lines.
Yes.
Let's secure the bag of the second term. They will start knocking on doors. Perhaps that's what the president...
Beautiful.
I invested a lot of commitments, Mr. Sheyi, in follow the framework of which they should operate the time thing. The tax reform came with a lot of recommendations. Do this, do that. And the moment the recommendation was brought to the Senate, that was where the problem started.
Okay.
There were thoughts of, this decision would have political consequences in 2027.
Yes.
The because of state houses of assembly, a lot of interest was against the tax reform bill. The president should return it. And then the presidency released a statement that, relax, guys, let it go through the instrument of legislature.
Yes.
Let the legislators rule on it. If they say we should take it, tax reform bill. And I'm asking you the very simple.
You asked me earlier and said, economist, the impact of this administration will be felt, many, many years after, in a positive way. When you talk of tax, it's an obligation for us and the tax net. Taxes is being used for development, taxes is being used to provide security and every other social amenity. Do you know that this is the first time in 50 years that we are twinkling with our tax
bill,
tax laws? Thank you for that. 50 years. This is the first time in 50 years. And the tax bills was in 4 parts. The Nigerian Tax Bill 2024, that is to consolidate all of the tax laws together. The Nigerian Tax Administration Bill 2024 too, that one is to improve administration and compliance.
Exactly.
Yes. The third one is Nigerian Revenue Service Bill 2024. That's to manage tax collection by Revenue Board. And that's to manage tax collection and management of the tax itself. The last one is the Joint Revenue Board Tax Bill, which is basically to manage the collections and set up a board that will do that. So, this bill, for this administration, and like I said, beyond, what are the benefits? Initially, politics setting, because the North believes that,
it's against them.
It was against
That's the
president is saying that in just very simple fact for federal allocation to survive. I don't want to mention everybody.
Commissioner of Finance is out.
Yes, even the governor. Is some local government that what comes in, nothing happens. So Mr. President is saying that as a governor, you must begin to think out of the box. Where the activities occur, Southwest will benefit more. Most of the head offices of
these big multinationals are down here.
They are all here. Especially Lagos State, they will benefit more. So the tax law is saying that, benefit more. You can imagine a state like Kano, Lagos.
But the sales of alcohol is not allowed in that side.
The break the bottles very productive will make noise. And it was rejected. Everybody sat down and they looked at it. And that's why we feel that this tax reform bill, has a lot of benefit. It will enhance tax compliance. It will also help the economy.
Already
there's budget deficit. We tax more Nigerians. But 3, we borrow. It's either for the government to look at how they want to, oriented. I'll give you some. It's
tax.
when you will be taxed. Anything below are exempted. So the more you earn life, you pay more.
Mr. Ashe, you want to put me in
like
trouble.
Me who drinks water.
You want to put...
It's only 7.5%.
Also talked about the fact that if there's no growth on paper, there can't be growth in reality.
It
because
can work. Some policy starts on paper.
But so let me ask you.
Yes.
Away from you being let me put it this way, if I'm allowed, maybe trying to sell the government positively. I'm talking about a 100 naira viewing center, masses to masses now.
Yes.
I'm talking about Ilepo administration. If all of these things, this man is disconnected from the reality, why is it that the people have lost an entire process of trust in the...
And that obligation is to ensure that you hold government. You know what Nigerians want, an average Nigerian, food, number one. It's not the food. That's what an average person wants. But everything is interwoven together. And like I said, I'm one of them too. You know, the governance was being, quoted very bad. It's just like having a wound so deep, so
just
long.
said to plaster
and take care of that wound. You know, the first thing you do, a new doctor will open all the plasters.
Look at the
He will look at you, put hydrogen peroxide. It will burn off all. Sometimes when you look at such wound, you will faint. You will vomit. Then the wound down for decay. It can take up to 15 years to heal. And there's no way to heal. There will still be scars.
Sure.
And that's the true position of our economy. So if you look at it, we must walk the talk. We must be able to sacrifice. A country like China, a country like Thailand, a country like Malaysia, Singapore, they locked up for many years. The standard is almost getting into a recession because of previous mismanagement. And that's the truth. So many countries are on the verge too. These are developed economies, and so it's everywhere. How much was the price of egg in those countries? How much is it now? About 80%. Because apart from oil, the non-oil sector is almost zero. And so there are no cushions when there are foreign, effects, when there are foreign issues that transcend to survive. It means that any ship passing that end now, insurance is double. We are talking of involved. Indirectly, our economy is tied. Look at flour. 80% of it comes from Ukraine.
Look at
so
wheat, even wheat.
That's what I'm. Yes, you are correct. So tell me why bread will not be double. Tell me why cake and every other confectionery will not go up. So Nigeria too needs to now begin to look inward and think from inside.
The next line of question, you've actually led us into it.
Okay.
The whole idea of growing up here, some of them are assembling here, some of them are producing here. What do you think this administration should do in terms of encouraging local production of electric vehicles right now? They seems to be taking over. There's also the CNG. It looks like it's a system that Nigerians are gradually embracing. Yes. Even each other we're ready to step into. But you know that still has some level of elitism, car production and consumption. Mr. Sheyi, we import literally everything in this country.
I know.
It's so bad. I'm not sure if we even produce pencil in this country.
I know.
I'm not sure if we produce enough toothpick to sustain us in this country.
I know.
How much more do you think we need to do in terms of fixing this country and having a lot to do with local source?
We produce. We must consume.
We like designers.
Even your watch is a designer. Why is it that we don't produce it? There's an answer to that. It's cheaper to even bring from China than to produce it. It's as simple as that. So we'll talk about that shortly. So, but government must walk the talk. And the truth is that talking about vehicle production that you mentioned now, maybe in the next budget, 2026, we want to see Mr. President drive Nord. We want to see Mr. President use innocent. You understand? Because we want to see Mr. President not use a Swiss lace, Swiss material. We want to see
from Abeokuta.
Oh yes, we want to see Aba material. It is only when you begin to patronize fully that we want to see all ministers begin to patronize from here. We want to see it. If you go abroad now, you see a minister, you jog on the road together.
You ride your bicycle?
Yes, together. No, there's no superficial security here, and all those things. But when we get back here, even another citizen, so we must begin to look at reality. If a minister uses the same hospital that equipment will be there. I'll give you an example. Just last week at Senate plenary, a senator got up to say that, I think Abdul Nengi, he got up to say that They were discussing with the FCT minister while trying to approve his budget, and they told him that the national hospital or one of the national hospitals, there's no MRI scan, is because their family use it. There's no MRI scan, there's no this, there's no that, and Wike said they will provide it in 2 weeks. So you can imagine if commissioner is in Lagos State, ministers who are from Lagos, or 2 hours or 3 hours.
You know why not to wait for 3 hours the next time?
I'm telling you, it will be passed. What we sell.
Okay.
So that's the first one. So for the second, if you permit me, the CBN governor is very cerebral. He's somebody that we know, is very, very senior percent, because at that time he was fighting inflation. Seriously. And now he has been able to curb inflation. Meeting was held 2 weeks ago. NPR is 27.5%. Cash reserve ratio with CBN, they take about 50% of your liquidity and keep. So how can banks lend to real sector?
When 50% of their liquidities are not with them.
It's gone. Averagely around the world is 16%, so that banks can have more liquidity to deal. But as we speak, a whole 50% is cash reserve 100. That's a lot of economics. But the true position is that why should I give the real sector money? I'm talking of foreign direct investment. That's why it was over $40 billion last year. The reason is because rate is 27.5, super high. Why should I keep my money there? So they just come in, and we call it hot money. The money comes in after the maturity period, capital flight, they take it out again. So there's no sustainable growth. And for us to have sustainable growth, it must start from our industries, local industries. So many of them have closed shop, and that's why they will close shop. So to have them more, our NPR must begin to decline, to reduce in rate. You know, it was sustained 2 weeks ago. So the next rate, we are envisaging a drop, a minimal drop, maybe by 20 or 30 basis points. Then our cash reserve ratio must also drop, so that banks can have more liquidity to lend to the real sector.
Okay, it's an engaging conversation. Capital Plus Limited, and we're continuing our week-long appraisal and assessment of the in 2 days' time. And so we're asking, how well has this administration performed in terms of the economy, in terms of security, public infrastructures, in terms of education, public facilities, in terms of, I'll share with you, there's no how in this world today that we can read all of the messages we have and pick calls. But let me run through them. And let me quickly touch some of the messages we have, then we'll pick the calls. This one is a pretty lengthy one. Tᴜɪᴜᴜ from Akon just says, good evening, Oᴜᴜ. Thank you for the beautiful discourse of today, where your guest spoke excellently well. But permit me, however, to correct some misconception. Okay. He said 98-80% of our revenue. This is important to stress to avoid the situation where some of us, aside from these, the message is yes, a good one from your guest. I do pay my tax, but do we have security in this country? Our economics is bad, so on. Did any one of these happen? This your guest is just defending the government. He looks to me a politician working for the government. Okay, Rahim from Agege. Thank you very much. Okay, Friday from Moe says the Nigerian government. Okay. Mr. Leslie Nigerians money. Since the coming in of this administration, many companies have folded governor of CBN. Why there are still many of these criminals outside? Governors, ministers will not pity him. Okay, that's true though. Kazim from Ejigbo says, your guest has put in his best to put his government in good light, but it is very difficult and assignment. He drives more exotic vehicles for himself with the political office holders, and is asking us to manage. Simply said, he makes us pay more, but they spend the money recklessly. A lot needs to be done. Thank you very much. Okay, this one says, your guest has spoken well. I see how difficult you are trying to manage the questions you are throwing to him, because you are one of us. The government has continued to remove themselves from Nigerians, and it is tough. I'm positive about this administration because I'm a member of the APC. A lot more work than the first time. That's Festus from Ikorodu. Okay, and loads of messages here. Chris from Magboro says, what pain is the president and all those in government feeling? The guest is not even feeling the pain. And he wants Nigerians to continue to endure this government that is prodigal and profligate in lifestyle and flamboyant life. This is Chima from Surulere. All this talk about increased allocation of huge money to governors is making me cry. The so-called huge money has no value. After devaluation of Naira and inflation, Nigerians have never been in this state of economic quagmire. That's Chima from Surulere. Okay. Femi from IKD should be Korodu says, thank you very much for this conversation today. I enjoyed that of yesterday and I enjoyed that of Professor Patu told me. Please, can you play it for us again? Your guest has spoken well, but the truth is this, Nigerians don't trust anything APC. Even the PDP have not done better. Nigerians are disinterested in this administration, and I hope that the next election will give us a different change. Okay, thank you very much. Talking about replaying the session we had with Professor Patu, I think this should be about the fourth conversation again. Okay. Kolawole Kazim on Facebook is talking to us, and it says the reason we don't produce is because of bad economic policies by the government. First, the government needs to reduce exchange rates so that manufacturing companies can have access to cheap technology, low taxes so that more money can remain in the hands of manufacturers, reduce the interest rate so that the manufacturers can have access to loans as well. These governments agree with your choice of words. The people are purely reacting based on the reality that they are faced with. Your guests can praise President Tinubu and some of his fated policies to the heavens, but the truth is this, the average Nigerian knows where the problem is and what life have become of them. Okay, Kolawole Kazim still says, I do not see anything that the president has done that is good for Nigerians. The only good things actually is that I can see the tax reform and the local government autonomy. But as you can see, both of these policies have not exactly taken effect. The local government are still not getting the allocation directly from the federation account, and the reforms bill has not been passed. So for me, the president is not. Let them also know that the dereca of beans was 250 naira before the president came up, and now it is 1,000 naira in less than 2 years. Okay, let's pick some calls. Hello, good evening.
Good evening to you, Mr. Pen.
Oh, Prince Wise.
I love the way he put it. But what I want to all ask for him, yes, and maybe the officer of the president will be hearing this, is agriculture. What are they be doing? Because all those things they were saying, in secondary, primarily, we can feed ourselves. We did perform well when we are talking of agriculture, because what I've been asking for long time ago is mechanized farming.
Yes.
Tractor in every local, every work, as they been doing this, because if we did this, it is better than a lot of Nigerians. When you talk of food, that's what I want to see this afternoon.
Thank you very much. Tax already been paid by the masses. And also as the government reduced their own expenses, because we've been hearing about different ministries which are not necessary and which are not even defining their jobs. The government needs to reduce costs. Engineer Nee.
Yeah, good evening to you, my dear.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
See, you cannot appropriate and appropriate or appropriate at the same time. During the COVID, it is in the news. The president has people to start to bring. So can you imagine what has been happening? So now you are saying that there is Buhari's problem. He also Buhari. Why should you create problem and then say you want to solve it? You cannot solve it. Engineer Nigon Yaba stop talking. You cannot solve the problem.
Thank you very much, Engineer Nee. Okangbelina is texting and he says, please tell your guests to reduce the BB grammar for the sake of traders like us. Okay. Please tell us, ask him, how will rice go back to 30,000 naira where they met it? When will petrol go back to 200 naira where Buhari met it?
Let me say this thing. Mogbo, but Mogba. Yes. Do you know, if you try to play when the late MC, when he was doing in his lifetime, that's your playback, the soundbite. What do you normally call it?
The soundbite.
Yes. Maybe you should play it for this again, and your guest patiently listen to it and compare with what their president is doing. Maybe he's doing the needful. That playback will answer. Be able to throw life, because we are not carry away at all. We are in Nigeria now. Yes, let me even before I round up, when Donald Trump was coming as the president of America, he laid down and said, "This is where I'm going." Can we say that of our president? Yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Kangbelinah. Thank you also for we can't pick more calls. I have to allow my guests respond to some of the questions asked and some of the issues raised. Mr. Sɪᴛᴜᴜ, maybe when we're done today, and maybe when we go home, and then I send the recording and the bite of this program, you read some of the messages on our social media platforms, and then that is a busy reflect. And that's what we do on this space. We take them as they are. The comments, we read the comment exactly that, because this is a channel where messages are sent to the upper echelon. So we assume that maybe as you've been on this show, somebody somewhere that is in position of authority is listening to this program because of feeling the effect of some of these good things that you said to us on this show today. The common man on the street can probably afford a tuber of yam to feed the family. The bag of rice is still above our minimum wage as a country. And like you said, food, after security, the next concern of a Nigerian is food. In fact, some Nigerians feel food more than security. They feel like we can secure ourselves. But let me eat. Give us food. What do you make of some of the aggregation of these comments that we've read and the calls that you've heard? Let's wrap it up from here, Mr. Sheyi.
Okay, then, thank you. And I appreciate Nigerians, for speaking their mind and letting it bear, which is the truth. And I also said something when we started that I'm also a Nigerian. I'm also part of the masses. I also feel the pain. But we have said it that there's no gain without pain. If you look at it, most of the conversation, most of these responses is on, on the basic things of life: food, security,
shelter.
But if you put it in terms of priority, food. 80% of these people have mentioned everything about food. So it means that Nigerians just wants to feed. Nigerians just wants to survive. They just want to begin to sensitize ourselves that there was a yesterday before today, and after today there will be a tomorrow. So how Tinubu? No, I want to say that yes, if you sponsor somebody to say that this is somebody I support because of his previous antecedents, Nigerians voted for him. And the truth is that the last 8 years, where we were coming from, can we remove it from history? He said, no, we must transit to continue with fuel subsidy, no problem. But I tell you, this economy will have crashed completely by December 2023, and we will even be in a more bigger problem. But taking the bull by the horn, yes, it is painful. Yes, Nigerians, is going through a lot, but we will only say that we are very close to the end of the tunnel.
Thank you.
By 2026, I assure you, these policies will begin to germinate and we'll feel the positive effect.
I'm sure God will keep our lives till then. I'll still bring you back, whether physically or virtual. Mr. Sheyi, Oluwaseyi Odufor-Olukoya, the MDC of Capital Plus Limited, we've talked about the assessing the Nigerian economy under the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's going to be 2 years in a few days' time. But next up is Mainland FM Global News at 5:30, and I will be back here for the Tuesday edition of Sports Cruise. Thank you so much, Mr. Odufor, for finding time to be with us on the show today. Next up is the news. My name is Oᴏᴜᴜ Akin. Don't forget to keep your dial locked mainly on Milan 98.3 FM, because we are the sound of Lagos. Bye for now.
Rock the groove. It's music extravaganza where the beat.
This is 98.3 Mainland FM.